over the past couple of years, I've seen a fair number of scammers on Etsy. I've contacted Etsy a number of times, but they just seem to be doing nothing. So I thought today I'd share you some information about this scammer known as KimonoFujiyamarock. At first what happened is I saw this helmet here. It looked very familiar. Since it's hand painted, new and vintage, kind of a bit conflicting there. And the images here, it's exactly the same as on this listing. It's for half the price. At first I was kind of confused, like maybe this could be the same person. So it said here it's Hyogo and the guys in Kobe. Wily Coyote was the username. And I saw here all these listings of helmets. So I looked back at his Etsy page. There's only one, maybe two that were the same. It seemed like definitely he must be taking photos from other people and just copying them and putting them up on Etsy. So this guy, KimonoFujiyamarock, he doesn't actually have anything in stock. What he does is he just takes photos and some details from other listings that he finds online on different places like Mercari and Yahoo Auctions. And what he does is he just lists those and puts a premium on them. And when somebody purchases it on Etsy, then he actually makes the purchase and then has it shipped over to him, and then he ships it to the customer. Shipping inside Japan doesn't take too long, so it's easy to get away with this. I looked at his different listings. Everything seemed to be from different people. There wasn't the same backgrounds, visuals, locations, flash, everything was different. It seemed like he must be doing this with 100, maybe more different sellers that he's finding online, picking and choosing certain ones that he thinks will sell well. So it says he's been in business on Etsy since 2013. He has made 2,692 sales. What's especially pernicious about this is that he's telling his customers directly wrong information. Maybe he did start out doing this stuff with antiques with his family in Kobe. That could certainly be true. But then he says most of his inventory is from local thrift shops, estate sales, and sometimes online. Looking at his history, it looks like at first he was selling kimonos, but then he also would sell kimonos from other people online if he didn't have enough stock. Sometime over the past few years, he switched to selling more and more from other people, listings that he had no authority to sell. I'll tell you some even worse things about it later on in the video. Here is a Dorari Obi. He has it listed as used, and it's for 48,000 yen. And you see here the original listing, looks like it's been sold out. It's 18,800 yen, so he's making a good chunk of change on it. But it's been sold. And also there's a lot more information about the sizing and such. And another thing is it says that this isn't an actual Dorari Obi, that all it is just a different Obi that's been chopped up and resewn into what effectively looks like a Dorari Obi. Here's another one. This is a Fukuro Obi, 35,000 yen. And on here there's just a couple details on there. Here's the original listing. So this one here still is in stock. It's from a completely different seller. Here too I saw that there's stains in one of these photos that it's picked out, but it wasn't shown in any of the photos in the Etsy listing. So obviously he's doing something here to take him out. He doesn't want his customers knowing the full breadth of all the staining on it, because then it'll make it so they think that they're getting screwed over, and they have to wait until they actually get it to find out about what's going on. And here too I found a Netsuke. The original listing looks a lot more professional, more details about the quality. You go to his page here, it says this guy's in Osaka, and these items here, it all has the same sort of black and white background. You go back to his page and you search for a Netsuke. You see that there are 4 or 5 different places that he picks from. The photos are completely off, so it's obviously that there's different sellers. If you would list 500 from one person, you could easily find it, but listing a bunch from a few different people makes it harder to find. I found this eBay listing, same price, same photos. The name here is Kobento, so this is definitely the same guy. Looks like he's sort of double dipping. He's got listings on both eBay and Etsy. You see the photo matches the profile listing, Kobento. Looking at the past year, he has about 100 reviews. So I'm guessing this new business is a bit different for him. And here I saw 400 listings, so I was like, okay, that's about normal. It's not too bad. Maybe it's not a complete fraud. Maybe he is listing some things on his own. These don't look like they were on Etsy. At least most of them don't. I checked back here on the listing again, I saw it says that it can't ship to within Japan. I went back and I thought all these 400 shipped to Japan. So I changed the delivery destination to the United States. And the 400 became 3,212. So not only is it on Etsy that he's screwing people over, but on eBay he's got 4 times that, taking the same listings on eBay and Etsy. I've seen some of these that are the same item. It's actually new in Japan, and he sells one on Etsy, one on eBay. Maybe that's what he's doing. So it's harder to find out, because only one sells on Etsy, and if it says that it's one of a kind, they think it's one of a kind. And so that's when I looked around and I saw that he's also got this Tsuba listing. He's got this up on Etsy, and there's another seller on eBay that has the same thing, but this other seller, they have it shipping to Japan. So that really made me think that this item isn't vintage at all. That all these Tsubas that he's selling probably just new reproductions that he's pretending are old and vintage. It says here he's got about 4,000 reviews on eBay. Started 20 years ago. Past years about 100 reviews, 2 to 3 times out of sales. So one every couple days, one every day. So this fraud that he's doing could be a bit more recent. And then here you see some of the negative reviews. $380 for this item. The seller emailed me after purchase to say that they didn't have the item, and he keeps ignoring the request for a refund. So the customer had to go through eBay to get a refund. Another customer says that they purchased the item and then the seller said that he didn't have it. Instead of offering the refund, the seller kept trying to get that person to accept an exchange of item, and it kept being worse and worse, and so he just had to go through eBay support to get a refund. You'll see a few of these claims on Etsy as well. Was told item wasn't in stock after attempting purchase, can't deliver things that he sells, doesn't even have them. So obviously people are reporting and making complaints, but both eBay and Etsy are doing nothing. The vast majority of people aren't affected by it. He's fraudulently misrepresenting that he has the items in stock, and if the original seller actually sold it, he just pretends that one of his own customers bought it, and he offers a different item in exchange. He does not want to give a refund, he wants that money, so he keeps on to it. He does whatever he can to keep that money. Here's another example. He's got this item listed, $1,800 for a koto. Then I found the same listing here on Yahoo Auctions. This listing ended on April 20th, 2022. No one bought it though. All the photos here are just copies, he just took them. The pernicious thing about this is that it's illegal to take photos from somebody else and use them for commercial purposes without their permission. Arbitrage is a perfectly normal way of doing business. You buy the items that somebody else has, and then you sell them on a different marketplace and you make the money in between. But he's not buying the items, he's pretending that he has them. He's not doing any of the cataloging, not taking any of the pictures, not taking any of the descriptions. Everything's fraudulent. He can't even guarantee that he can get the items. Here's a jacket, $360 for it. It just says free size unisex. But then if you go to the original Mercari listing, see it says it's LL, which is like Western XL. And this is for $16.5. It's about 1/3 the cost. That's on Etsy. You can see here that people are commenting on it. So it's obvious that the Mercari seller isn't holding it for this person. They don't know what's going on. The Xiaomi-san as well. It just says used, very good. Doesn't have any information on the quality or staining and such. But then the original listing is more information. It's much cheaper. It says that it's sold a long time ago. If somebody purchases this on Etsy, KimonoFujiyamarock just says that it's been sold out and they offer him a new one. They find the same seller on Mercari, Yahoo Auctions or somewhere else. And then they just say, oh, you can buy this one. I've also got this in stock. This watch also $320. The original listing is 1/5 the price. It's been sold out. It says it's a quality B, but the Etsy listing doesn't say any of that. This one here is something that tipped me off about how just a complete fraud this man is, breaking so many of Etsy's rules. This item says it's used, mint condition, but in all actuality it's a new item that's being made. He sold it for $400, but I found that many people have been buying and selling them for 4,000 yen. It's about $35. There's many of these listings, a whole bunch sell each month. He's got it on eBay as well. Somebody buys it on eBay and somebody buys it on Etsy. Neither platform knows that it's been sold. And this is the worst part of it. So here is the listing, 32,000 yen. Maybe look at it. Some of the images seem a bit funky. These seem a bit shorter. And then that led me to the original listing on Mercari. And you look at all the photos. There's a number there at the bottom. So what he did is he removed the black border and he cut off the bottom so you don't see it at all. If his listings included that number in there, you could search and you could find the original listing there on Mercari. So he's removing the watermark, trying to disguise who owns the copyright. This is blatant copyright infringement. Every single image here is against the law what he's doing. I don't know the laws with this in Japan, but I was able to find in America. If you remove a watermark, it can cost you up to $25,000. The copyright owner can sue you and get $2,500 to $25,000 per time you remove the watermark from an image. This is copyright management information. On 800 listings on Etsy and 30,000 listings on eBay, he's committing copyright infringement. I looked at a bunch of the reviews, and going back down to 2013, 2014, 2015, people are saying that he doesn't have the items in stock. Many people throughout the entire time, almost a decade now, they've been saying that the photos were wrong. Color was off. Stains weren't listed. So it's clear that what he's doing is he's taking a lot of photos from other places and he's removing any information about stains. He doesn't want people to know the full condition of what they're buying. So once they've made the purchase, he's made the money. Sometimes people say that he gave them a partial refund, but at the prices he's selling them at, it's obvious that he's making a big chunk of change in profit anyways. I went through all the reviews and looked at it, and at first it was just kimonos, but then after a few years he started adding things like cups and tools. After the start of the pandemic, he started to go really full bore into selling items that he didn't own. He maintains no stock. He's fraudulently representing what he does for a business. With the release of this video, I just hope that Etsy does something. This man's been taking advantage of Etsy and eBay's customers for almost a decade now. Not only that, but he's completely misrepresenting what he's doing, lying to customers, stealing other people's images. Here's another example of a Walkman. It's listed for $400. This is on eBay and Etsy. Then I found the original listing for about half that. Then that's also what I found this other listing here on eBay. It's for a similar price. And I saw that this guy's doing the same sort of thing. 1600 listings here. But he's mainly about technology. Doesn't sell inside Japan, only sells overseas. Either this is one guy doing this with a few different accounts on eBay and Etsy, or possibly this is a bigger issue with eBay itself. But to just double check what this guy's doing, I went to his profile here and I looked at the reviews. Lots of them just say that the item wasn't in stock, or that the item was not as described. So in the end, this person's been doing this for up to a decade, maybe longer if you factor in eBay. He'll be branching out doing this on multiple eBay accounts, which is also a violation of eBay's policies. You can't list the same item multiple times. Using multiple accounts to do that is also a no-no. So far, this is the most prolific scammer I've found. He's purposely removing watermarks. He's lying to his customers about if they're in stock or not. He specifically removes information about stains and damages. He keeps details vague, so it's harder to find the items in case if somebody searches for it on Google. He has to really do a lot of investigation to find these items and where they originally are. This is just the first of many scammers that I hope to show you that are thriving on Etsy. Maybe by shining a light on them, Etsy will finally do something and remove their accounts. Hopefully they'll refund some of the purchasers. Until next time.